How strong is Sakura Haruno, or I guess Sakura Uchiha nowadays? The longest running joke in the Naruto community, and maybe even the entire anime community, is that,
oh, Sakura is trash.
People still hate her for the remarks she said to Naruto about him being an orphan in OG Naruto, and also the fact that she was borderline useless in OG Naruto. And while I can't defend that version of Sakura, what about the version of Sakura we see today? Boruto Sakura. What is she capable of? But first, let's take care of what you're capable of, which is liking this video, subscribing to the page, and hitting that noti bell. So I'm gonna open up by saying that the point of this video is to kind of rewrite the narrative on how we talk about Sakura. Unfortunately, Sakura suffers greatly from the affliction called the Naruto manga and the Naruto anime. She is horribly written in those two pieces of source material. She's useless, she's not powerful, she's not particularly talented at anything, but there is moments that she shines through in those pieces of literature. But where she shines through even more than that is the light novels. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let's talk about Sakura, but front to back. In Naruto proper, she was considered one of the smartest people in their class. In fact, she studied so much that she forgot to study combat techniques. Because of this, she had no real combat efficiency. Shikamaru even went so far as to say that she was a kunaichi with no particular talent for anything. But this feeling of being useless and the fact that she was constantly being saved by both Sasuke and Naruto drove her to train to become a stronger person. But don't forget, at the core of all of this is still a very intelligent person. A person who identified that Tsunade was the strongest kunaichi from Konoha's entire history, and that Sakura needed Tsunade to train her in order to become as powerful as Sasuke or Naruto. And that's exactly what she did. She reached out to Tsunade and said, I will be your disciple for as long as it takes for me to gain strength. And that took 2.5 years. Here's the thing about Sakura. Even though it didn't seem like to the naked eye that she was particularly talented at anything, she was the best out of all of the Konoha 12 at one certain thing: chakra control. And there is nothing more important in healing ninjutsu than chakra control. And this isn't the only place that chakra control is really important. In fact, Kakashi says that her chakra control is so impressive that she should use genjutsu because chakra control is massively important in genjutsu. And while she never trains in genjutsu, she's actually so talented with her chakra control that she's stated to be relatively impervious to genjutsu. And this is starting way back in Naruto in the Konoha Crush arc, where the Sound Village attacks Konoha. She is the person to break everybody out of genjutsu. That's OG Naruto. But if you flash forward all the way to Naruto the Last, there is a genjutsu set up by Toneri Otsutsuki that traps people in a world of memories and dreams forever. And the only way that Sai, Shikamaru, and Sakura can break through it is because Sakura is resistant to genjutsu of the highest level of magnitude. She is on par with Jinchuriki's and Otsutsuki's in terms of genjutsu resistance, and that's without some other being able to disrupt your chakra to wake you up. That chakra control also allowed her to pick up medical ninjutsu fast and effectively. I mean, when people go, oh, Sakura's trash, look at them and tell them, if Sakura wasn't around, we wouldn't have Naruto or Sasuke. In the war arc, she applies chakra to her hand in the form of a scalpel in order to cut open the side of Naruto's chest. She then bathes her hand in chakra and sticks it into his chest and manually pumps his heart to keep him alive. This feat for anybody else would have been borderline impossible. On top of that, let's not ignore the fact that she brought Sasuke back from the brink of death twice in Boruto and Naruto once. But even if she can't apply medical ninjutsu good enough to bring you back to life or heal you, she has a trump card. Tsunade taught her the Byakuya seal, or the strength of 100 healing seal. This is what took so much time in her training, was learning this particular technique. And here's the thing, she has no proclivity in this seal technique. It's actually usually specific to senjus since it's based off Hashirama's healing factor, and yet she was still able to learn it. For those of you who don't know what the 100 healing seal is, essentially think of it as a pool of chakra that you add a cup of water into every single day. You go about your daily life and any excess chakra that you have during the day, you feed into the Byakuya seal. Then by unleashing the Byakuya seal, you can increase the cell division of your own cells to such a rate that any instance of damage will get healed instantaneously. This seal is so effective that it brought Tsunade, who had been cut in half, back together and healed her. And here's the thing, I know it's called the strength of 100 healing seal, right? But like 100 healings is not the hard set number. It's not like, oh, you died 100 times, GG's, get out. No, it's just called that. It's actually dependent on how much chakra you have in the seal. And we've gotten verbal confirmation that Sakura has so much chakra in this seal, she could probably use it more than 100 times to come back from full-on death. She's better at it than Tsunade, who's a full-blooded Senju. But also Tsunade does use the Byakuya seal to make herself look young, so who knows, if Tsunade actually let herself look like a 72-year-old, maybe she'd be as strong as Sakura. And since we're talking about Tsunade and what she imparted onto Sakura, let's talk about the fact that how Tsunade increased Sakura's already incredible chakra control many times over. In fact, because of Tsunade increasing her chakra control, Sakura can now direct chakra into her fists and occasionally her feet and explode that chakra on impact. This has made Sakura the strongest chakra assisted person in the entirety of the show. Punching power, one punch, using chakra to enhance your strength, she is stronger than both Naruto and Sasuke. She can also use this chakra assisted strength to break herself out of restraints or lift incredibly heavy things. But you want to know what's even crazier than that? In Sakura Hiden, her light novel, we see Sakura use the chakra that she directs to her hands to encase her hand, catch and repel, wait for this, ninjutsu. That's right, Sakura can catch a fireball and throw it back. And if you thought that wasn't crazy enough for you, well, in that same very book, we find out that Sakura can direct the entirety of the chakra flow throughout her body in order to nullify what would be lethal attacks. By anticipating where a blow is going to land, she can direct her chakra to that to completely nullify ninjutsu or taijutsu. This overwhelming strength and chakra control allowed her to be the only person who ever landed a hit on Kaguya. Oh, and since we're talking about Kaguya, Sakura was able to dodge one of Kaguya's attacks, which is said to be light speed. So I'll let you make your own, judgments about how fast she might be. And while we're still on the topic of Kaguya, she broke off one of Kaguya's horns with a punch. I'd like to point out that Naruto, who was in Baryon mode after relentlessly slugging Ishiki in the face, didn't even knock off one of his horns. Well, I guess he only has one horn, but you get it. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but in Sasuke Retsudan, one of Sasuke's light novels, we see that by infusing chakra into inanimate objects, like entire prisons in this one circumstance, that Sakura can map out whole landscapes. By feeding her chakra into a prison, she was able to draw a map of the entire layout of said prison, going so far as to allow her to identify threats, traps, and secret rooms. That is on the level of a Byakugan. So now that we've covered her chakra control and her affinity for breaking out of genjutsus and her physical strength in the Byakuya seal, let's talk about her ninjutsu. While Sakura is by no means considered a ninjutsu master, she has mastered earth, water, fire, yin, and yang releases. Ironically, the two she hasn't mastered are wind, Naruto, and lightning, Sasuke. But on top of those 5 chakra releases, she's also incredibly talented in Fuin Jutsu, also known as sealing jutsu. We see in Sasuke Retsudan that when Sakura hits somebody or simply makes contact with them, she can leave a rose-shaped seal on them. And once this seal gets onto you, it will release red chakra threads that will bind your entire body. Outside of that, obviously, she has Lady Katsuyo as a summoning. Lady Katsuyo is the strongest of the big 3 summonings, by the way. Let's consider for a fact that you actually need the Byakuya seal in order to summon the majority of her. I say that because it is such a daunting task to summon Lady Katsuyo because she is roughly the size of a mountain in her full form that you need to unlock the chakra hidden in the Byakuya seal to get even 70% of her. That's the most we've ever seen of Lady Katsuyo, 70%. And Lady Katsuyo can split into millions of different little slugs that can heal people on a cellular level, and Wild Split can act as a kind of chakra cell phone between everyone that she's attached to, allowing them to communicate through her. And if you get Lady Katsuyo into a corner, she can spew acid that can melt rocks. And if all of that's not good enough for you, Sakura and Tsunade can extend their Byakuya seals onto other people to give them the power of the Byakuya seal. And if that's not enough for you, Sakura can complete medical ninjutsu practices that usually require entire teams of people by herself. Most notably, healing, resuscitation, regeneration jutsu, which allows you to regenerate entire organs or limbs. I mean, Sakura identified, extracted, healed, and made an antidote for a poison that Sasori said nobody could find the antidote for. So with all of this in consideration, let's talk about Sakura's feats. Both of them come from light novels, but one of them has been animated into Boruto. Let's talk about that one first. Sakura is able to run the ones with Shin Uchiha, a Mangekyo Sharingan wielder. For those of you unfamiliar with Shin Uchiha, you maybe haven't made it to Boruto yet, he is a former Orochimaru test subject. Orochimaru was interested in him because Shin has an ability that allows him to accept anything foreign in terms of DNA onto his body. You can essentially graft whatever you want onto Shin and his body will take it up. This is really appealing to Orochimaru, who grafted like 17 Sharingans onto him just to recreate Danzo, I guess. And the wildest part about Shin is, yes, he has 17 Sharingans, right? Everybody who we've ever seen with a Sharingan that wasn't originally theirs covered their Sharingans so it wouldn't be constantly activated. Danzo wore sleeves and half of a mask. Kakashi pulled his headband down and closed his eye. Shin has all of these Sharingans activated all of the time, which means he's got an almost limitless pool of chakra. Because of the fact that he has eyes all over his body, he effectively has no blind spot. And all of those Sharingans are fully matured, which means they can see, track, and predict motion. On top of that, in his right eye, he's got a Mangekyo Sharingan that allows him to teleport him and anything within a set area to any place, aka space-time ninjutsu, kind of like Sasuke's Rinnegan ability. And using this ability, he's able to move any weapon telekinetically that he's marked with his left hand. This is a pre-Ten Tails Madara level threat, a man who beat an albeit tired Sasuke and Naruto in a fight, and Sakura stood toe-to-toe with him. Yes, Sasuke saves her in the end, but Kishimoto. But let's talk about the less talked about feat. Let's talk about the fact that Sakura was single-handedly able to defeat Kido Sumiki. For those of you who haven't read Sakura Hiden, A, do so. B, he is a former Anbu captain who essentially gets his hands on what is a nine-tailed drug. Essentially, in Sakura Hiden, a group of criminals have created a drug that allows them to harness the power of the Nine Tails and become pseudo nine-tailed Jinchuriki. We're not talking half power, quarter power. No, the people who take this drug are able to manifest a nine-tailed version 2 Jinchuriki cloak. And for those of you who don't remember, that was good enough to beat Pain. Yes, I know other things went into beating Pain. I'm generalizing. And this wasn't just some random kid with this ability. No, this was a former Anbu captain. Kakashi, Itachi, Shisui, Anbu captains, which is probably why in a small amount of time he was able to figure out how to use tailed beast bombs. And Sakura beat him in a 1v1. In fact, she killed him. In this fight, Sakura uses her chakra control to apply chakra to her hands and rip off one of his tails. There's a moment where he blows off one of her arms and she does her best Perfect Cell impersonation and just grows a new arm. The fight ends by him impaling her with a tail, and she grabs the tail and runs at him and punches a hole in his chest. That's right, with a hole in the middle of her stomach. She decided, don't pull out, go in, and ran at him. If that doesn't convince you of her strength in Boruto, I physically don't know what will. Other than the fact that in Sakura Hiden, it's implied after the war arc that she was still sad about the fact that she wasn't on Naruto or Sasuke's level, so she trained for 3 years in order to acquire speeds comparable to 8 Gates guy, Night Guy. You know, the guy who could bend space-time with a kick? Listen, it's time we put the joke to bed. Sakura is not useless. In fact, she's one of the most useful people in the history of Naruto. Boruto himself said that Sakura would be a good replacement for his father as Hokage. She runs the medical division. She's one of the strongest people in the village, especially now that Naruto and Sasuke have been nerfed, and she's an incredible mother to Sarada. If you still hate her, you're hung up on the past. You wouldn't hate Gaara for what he did in OG Naruto, now would you? And that's all I got. If I haven't convinced you that she's strong, well, I can't help you. But you can help me by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and hitting that noti bell. Because listen, I will always be here to give you the facts. But sometimes my opinions are gonna leak in. I'm not saying that Sakura solo's your favorite verse, but my hero, I'm looking at you.